grooming this new target, the psychopath may still engage in affairs or flirtations with his colleagues. For example, if it's a medical resident, they may still flirt with fellow residents or nurses or even their own patients. They may try to violate ethical boundaries. Or if it's a lawyer, right, they're going to flirt with their secretary or their paralegal, whatever it may be. They're still living double lives even as they groom and love bomb this new target.
Today, I want to take you into the mind of a psychopath.
Times when we talk about manipulation tactics, we're not actually talking about exactly what's going inside of the mind of the psychopath or malignant narcissist when we talk about how they're engaging in these actions. So I want to show you the difference tangibly between a person without narcissistic traits and how they approach life and life circumstances versus a person who is narcissistic or psychopathic, or both, right? They could have both traits. They often do, actually. A psychopath often has narcissistic traits, although not every narcissist is a psychopath. So just to make things easier, let's talk about the primary subtype of psychopathy, someone who was born with a genetic predisposition and biological disposition to psychopathy, someone who showed signs early on without the influence of their environment necessarily as to their psychopathy, right? So then we'll have the comparison with the normal person, right? Someone who may not have had a traumatic childhood, they probably grew up in a loving home, right? Let's assume that. But they still have the genetic predisposition for psychopathic traits, and they have all the early signs of red flag behavior, right? Versus someone who is an empathic person, non-psychopathic, non-narcissistic, and how they approach these different circumstances. So let's say that both types of people, they start a new job, right? They go to a different city than they're usually located in, and they start a very reputable job. It could be a lawyer, maybe they're a surgical medical resident, maybe they are an accountant, whatever it could be, any kind of reputable career, right? The empathic person goes to this new location and thinks, oh, okay, so I need to get myself situated within a few weeks. I need to figure out how to navigate this new workplace, maybe make some acquaintances or friends, and just really settle down and start getting used to living in this new city that I'm in and finding out the culture of it and just, relaxing into my new roles and responsibilities. That's what the empathic person thinks. The psychopathic person thinks very differently. They come into this new city and they are very excited by the novelty of it, right? Now they have new opportunities to capitalize on and manipulate people. Now they have a new supply, a whole supply of people they've never met before who they are going to manipulate with their charm and their charisma, their superficially charming persona, and they're going to convince those people that they're the nicest person in the world. And what is one of the first things that they do? Not just try to settle in and relax and try to get used to their new atmosphere. No, they fit right in. They blend in seamlessly because they've been practicing their persona for years, right? So they know how to morph into the perfect ideal person or partner to each person that they meet. And what is one of their first things that they want to get done first? They're going to look for a partner, right? Just 1 month in, they're going to start thinking, who can I fool into being my partner? And let's say that, for the sake of this example, it happens to be a male psychopathic person. They think to themselves, I need someone on my arm to make me look like I'm just like everyone else, like I'm valued and respected. And in my particular workplace, this woman is going to make me seem like a family guy, someone who is trustworthy. So I need to look for, a girl next door who doesn't threaten me in any way, who doesn't surpass me in any way, because let's say the psychopath is maliciously envious of someone who has accomplished more than he does. So he doesn't choose someone in his field, right? He doesn't choose a fellow lawyer or a fellow medical resident or doctor. He chooses someone who is maybe outside of his field, someone who doesn't threaten his status level, but still adds to this vision of being normal that he's seeking. So within a few weeks of living in this new city, he's already on a dating app or he's already prowling in bars or events, and he's looking for the perfect target. And he finds a woman whom he knows is going to put up with him. And he love bombs her fast and furiously into believing that he's so in love, he's so committed to her, and he takes her on this whirlwind romance, making her feel a part of his life in some ways, just so he can have someone to cook and clean for him when he gets home. Because maybe he's a busy medical resident, or maybe he's a busy lawyer, or maybe he's working late hours into the night, and he just needs the comfort of having a stable partner, a warm body to come home to at night, someone who encourages him through the stressful hours of his busy schedule. Whatever he needs, maybe she's even contributing financially to his success in some way, right? Whatever he needs someone beside him when he goes to company events, right? Whatever it may be, he needs that person for the time being. So he does that. He exploits her labor. He exploits her presence. She has no idea, of course, because she's just thinking to herself, oh my God, I found the most perfect partner. This partner loves me dearly and we're going to be committed forever. But that's not who he really is, right? He's just selling her the charming persona. Maybe it takes months, maybe it takes a year or so, but eventually his false mask starts to show cracks. Basically groomed this person into being his so-called partner for the time being, because once this time period or phase of his life is complete, he's going to either move on to a different partner or he's going to continue using that person, but he's not going to commit or invest in her the way that he has groomed her into investing in him. So again, this could be him being a lawyer, but then hooking up with his secretary after promising to kind of give the woman in his life, a lavish lifestyle, whatever he promised her, or, children and a white picket fence. Or he could, change cities and he decides, that person was great for me for that time being, time to move on to a new source of novelty, right? Because he no longer needs her. And an empathic person would never do this, right? An empathic person, if they're investing in a person, they want that person to be in their lives and they have a plan for how to keep them in their lives. So again, this is the surgical resident who uses a woman for the time period of his residency. And then now that he no longer needs a free maid or cook or someone to financially go 50-50 with him for whatever expenses he needs to subsidize, now he's moving on to a new source of novelty. And he's changing cities to avoid accountability. This is an accountant who has allowed this live-in girlfriend to do all the labor for him, but now he needs a fresh start. Or in the most extreme example, right, this could be a husband who invests years and years and even has children with his wife, but then he decides to annihilate his whole family because he found a new mistress. Again, that's a very extreme example, but it does happen. If you ever view true crime, it does happen. So that's how a psychopath thinks. They're looking for thrill seeking, they're looking for sensation seeking, they're looking for novelty, they're parasitic, they're leeching off the resources of others, and they are never going to invest in you long term the way that they have groomed you to invest in them.